Whoa! It's happening.
We're live?
We made it. We made it to Twitch.
You made it.
How you doing, Austin?
I'm good, man. I'm in my studio, which looks like a kid's room.
Dude, I know when we first connected, I was trying to figure out what the heck was behind you. Comic books, I see.
Yeah, I got some a Batman comic book, some Spider-Man. Those are pretty much the only two important ones.
So you're going to be giving away these collector items tonight, I take it?
Psych! I got about 20 comics. I don't know. I actually made a Google account. I made a what is it even called? eBay account. And I tried to sell my Pokemon cards. I had two. And they were the OG ones and a couple of my comics. And I got banned from eBay for some reason.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, what is up with that, man? People are getting banned and blackballed, and
I got banned because I guess I don't know why. I guess Pokemon cards are like the thing right now. But I was trying to sell my Pokemon cards and like a jumpsuit from one of our old music videos, and yeah, got banned.
Touchy subject these days. So hey, dude, where are you? So where the heck are you living now?
I live in
what area?
I live in the middle of California, like in way inland, so like above Bakersfield and like 2 hours south of San Jose, in a little farm town, literally a little tiny farm town. Everywhere is it's like a big farming community.
Is it like Taft, California, when we were up there with the Whosoevers for that skate contest?
Yeah, it's super, super tiny.
No way. Well, that's good. I mean, at least you're close to the hospital that that's where the hospital is that you normally go to, right? In that vicinity?
Yeah, Stanford is that, and San Jose is Stanford, and both my wife and I, which is where we met, that's where our specialists are. So it's like just a 2-hour drive to get there, which is good because we go there a lot. We haven't had to be there a lot often, which is good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's good.
Yeah, my health's been doing really good lately. So
yeah. How's how's the health been going?
Good, dude. God has been doing something crazy because for me I had my baby on January 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And from then till now, it feels like one big long day.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a sleep disorder and then Marfan's and all the stuff that I have that comes with it. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that I haven't, shot, someone or myself, or, just given up and driven down to the hotel and left my family and started doing drugs again. And but just the fact that, man, I've had the strength to just push through and be a dad is insane. And it's my body is keeping up with it. And that's what's crazy to me, is because my body couldn't do that before. There's no way, even before I had the baby. So it's been wild just to see how God's he's been getting us through, from emotionally and physically and financially. It's been nuts, just barely getting by. And it's been so awesome, especially having a baby.
Well, some of the people that are just tuning in right now, obviously, they know you, and some might not. You're the lead singer of the band of Mice and Men for many, many years. And then you had this condition, Marfan's, and it got you, you had to leave the band because your rib was popping out, multiple surgeries, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of pain and a heartache that went along with that, having to leave the band and just your physical situation. But when you got married and then you got your wife pregnant, and you were going to have the kid, I was like, whoa, this is going to be really gnarly. Like, I remember you texted me and you're like, we're having a kid. And I'm like, I just remember I was in bed. It was at night. I was with Crystal, and I was like, Crystal, Austin and his wife are having a kid. And we were like, whoa, this is going to be so crazy because your wife obviously has, health issues,
That's a brain tumor.
and yeah, a brain tumor, and then pregnancy, and then just what the baby brings to the element of like sleep deprivation, all those things that you and your wife need, normal humans need, but you guys need that more. You have sleeping problems. We were like, dude, God's going to have to literally do something radically through the power of his Holy Spirit to give you guys the ability and the energy to do it. And, I'm a father, and I know, I know what you guys are experiencing, and it's amazing because I just saw her. I don't want to mess up her name. It's Lilikai.
Lilikoi.
Lilikoi.
Lilikoi. It's Hawaiian. It means talented and loving and compassionate and kind.
Lilikoi.
Or just say do it the gringo way. Lilikoi.
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 My dad messes it up too. He's like Lilikoi.
Well, because your dad is crazy.
Yeah, he's like your brothers.
Him and his twin brother, huh?
Yeah,
those guys are awesome, man.
Yeah, so, from at first having a kid for Marty and I wasn't off the table, but it was off the table until we had 70 grand to burn, because with me having Marfan's, there's a 50-50 chance that I could pass it along. And then with her and her brain tumor, she couldn't have a normal birth. And then the after effects, because the hormones in the body would make the tumor grow, and the cancer could come, because it's still a cancerous tumor.
Okay.
But because of the hormones that come with pregnancy, and then especially afterwards, it could have aggravated it, made it worse, and the cancer could have gotten worse, and the tumor gotten bigger. So it was like a off the table kind of a thing until we could, they could, I guess, take the right cells of the right, non-Marfan baby from me and give it to her. And, after she gets rid of the tumor or gets rid of her eye, and, it was off the table. And COVID hit, and we
oh my gosh, that's right. With all that too, on top of it all.
Yeah, we were living in one room all together. Me, my wife, and our daughter, we were living in one room. And during that first main quarantine, like that first 2 months, I couldn't even leave the house. My doctor wanted me to not even be in the same room as my wife and my daughter. And I was like, that's not possible, because we live in one room. Yeah. And so, that happened. And then we came out here, found out we were pregnant, and came out here, and had our daughter during all of this craziness. And we had some crazy complications at the hospital very last minute, because we had it scheduled. We showed up at 6 a.m. and ended up having to wait, and had a big wrench thrown right in the end. We just had to give it to God. And 2 hours later, they wheel in my little girl to me, and Marty was still in the operating room. And as soon as they wheel Lilikoi back to me, I stood up, I took off my shirt, and I put her against me, because I wanted to do the skin to skin. And man, that just I changed I thought I knew what love was, and I had no clue, bro. Dude, I had no clue. I got the definition completely wrong.
Dude, that moment is crazy with the skin on skin with the dad. I had similar experiences. Crystal was getting, put back, fixed back up from the surgery, and then they just bring your daughter, and you're just like, it's like unreal. You're like, what the heck? This is crazy. Like, me and my wife, we created this, and this baby, and oh man, now she's a daddy's girl. It's it, done.
Dude, my 5-year-old is a daddy's girl, and that's crazy to me, because I love that. And now it's Marty gets full full mom duties, because I'm not able to breastfeed. And I'm like, she's a mama's girl now, but she'll be a daddy's girl.
Yeah. That's what happens. You can breastfeed though. You could get like a little fake one and like the milk. You never seen those in movies. Your dad. I just saw a comment from your dad. He's stalking us.
Wait, my dad or my uncle?
Is it Terry? That's
Terry's my dad. Terry's my uncle. Gary's my other uncle, but we have
Terry. It's Terry. Your uncle.
Terry's in here.
Terry is up in here. I see him lurking.
I bet you my dad's with them. What's up, guys?
Hey, speaking of those guys and like Costa Rica when you were down there, have you been teaching any baseball or anything with the kids?
Dude.
Or you haven't done anything like that, right? I mean, it's been you've been just caught up in this whole. Yeah,
I do laundry and I do yard. I'm like Doubtfire.
You are Mr. Mom. Mm-hmm.
It's the first couple months were really tough. My dad was actually here for about a week before we had her, and then for a week and a half after. He said he was going to stay for 3 weeks, but he only stayed for two weeks and 5 days. So he was 2 days short. But him being here helped out a lot. We couldn't bring our daughter to the hospital with us, and there was nowhere else for her to stay. So she stayed. He took care of her, and then when we got home, he was able to cook homemade sausage, biscuits, and gravy, and his homemade grilled pork chop fajitas, and he helped a lot. And then when he left, it was me. And my wife was still. It took her a while to recover. Her body and her tumor still swelled up, not enough for it to be really detrimental to her health, but enough to kind of leave her just out of commission. And it was crazy having to step up and doing laundry and cleaning and homeschooling and picking up and cooking. And I'm an okay cook. I can cook, if you tell me what it is, tell me what to make, give me the ingredients, I can do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, my wife is like African American. She's black, white,
yeah,
Pacific Islander. She has all these different, things, and so she likes everything a certain way. She eats my food, but as long as I add enough lemon and soy sauce, she's good. But it was crazy having to step up and step into that, and that was wild to me. And like we were saying earlier, that's where I feel like God was just like holding me up and doing that. And these past few weeks, I've finally been able to start. I started a Patreon, which is like it's like a website / fan club / people that are really loyal and really want to support my family and my music and my work. And I get to like write on there, and I get to do music on there, and I put like videos and pictures that I don't put on social media on there. And that's it's given me the time now to be able to do that. And the literally my 47 people I have on my Patreon is what supports my family right now. And stuff from a Mice and Men, it's like people, I'm not like Corn, and Brian, he gets paid. Men, we were like down here. And so it's just been awesome to see how he's just keeping us somewhere, and then he slowly opens up different doors to allow us to get to where we need. And he does that on his timing.
Yeah.
His timing is not what we want or what we thought, but his timing is it's perfect. It's his, I guess.
The timing thing, everything that you've been going through, it's like you would never, if I would have told you would have been here years ago, you'd be like, dude, there's no way,
No.
But for whatever reason, God allows us to go through these seasons, and they feel very hard, at times, and sometimes for a very long time, but God's doing something in us during that time. And I've learned that I call them chapters in our life, or seasons or chapters, but I've been through a few pretty hard ones this last season. During the pandemic has been very hard for me, not because of the pandemic itself, but more of like this storm that I've been going through. But it's in these storms, in these times when you're like, how am I going to do it? God teaches us, as you know, he teaches us that he's faithful and he's going to do it his way, which is the best way. And we just have to learn how to trust in him to bring provision for energy, sleep. I mean, literally just anything, like everything in your life. Like, cause there's times when you're, I went to bed and I was having these fear attacks, and I was stressing out on some stuff, and I had to learn that like God's in control and he's going to get you through it. And you just have to walk through it. Just like you're in a storm, even though you're having a baby, but it's a storm because your whole world's shaking up. When storms come, things start getting blown over, things get flooded, your normal life is rocked by the elements, and that's basically what's going on with you and your wife. But God is faithful and he's just teaching us how to trust, but it doesn't.
On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand.
For real. And that's the whole thing, is we just learned that to trust in him. And you know what's crazy? It's funny you said that worship song, because when I've been going through this, there's been like 3 songs. He's given me like a different worship song to like hold on to. I'm literally holding on to the lyrics. I'm like, oh my God, we're singing this. It's saying this about you. Like, let it be true.
It's true, dude.
I know.
That first quarantine, the lie down in green pastures lie down beside still water.
Yeah.
That water is the living water, his water. And he told us, he was making us lie down, to calm down, to stop. And then, like you were mentioning with the storms, a wise man once told me, not all storms come to rock your world, but to clear your path. You told me that. And, but it reminds me of Romans 5, where it says that we rejoice and glory in our tribulations and our trials, because they create perseverance in us, which creates character, which produces hope. And then that hope does not put us to shame, because of the love of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit that has been poured out into us. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, the more that we go through things, the more that it builds us, and the more that God can build us, and the more that it puts our hope in that we can have our faith. So it's like, the more that we go through, the stronger our faith becomes, because we see that our God is an awesome God, and all this stuff that we can go through, there's nothing can come that he doesn't have his hands like this on us with. And that's something for me that, like, I thought the storms like couldn't get any worse. I thought I was there. I thought I experienced it all. And it's like, there's so many different types of storms, and you can't compare one person's to another's, mm-hmm. From an earthquake in Haiti to you being a dad and your situation, and me and health, and like, dude, the way that God just works, and in such an individualistic way, is so rad. And that's why it's so cool, because people hear religion and it's like, no, man, it's a relationship. It's a personal relationship. And if it wasn't a relationship, then it would just all be just one, just one thing across the board. And I just find that so cool, because like my wife and I, our story is just so unique, but it's like God does the same thing to everyone that puts their faith in him. And I love that about him. That's one of the many things that I love about him is he just rocks our world. And I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but I know he's got us. And I love that, man. And I want
to add two things to that, or just one of the things you were talking about, like a relationship versus religion. So relationship is like, you and I, we're friends. So, I mean, just doing a stream like this is nothing. This is what we do when we talk on the phone or whatever. This is just us just hanging out, talking. But it's because we have a relationship. We're friends. We toured. We've been to concerts together. We went to Israel together. We've hung out. We've done ministry. We've toured ministry. You speaking and different things. We've developed just an awesome friendship, relationship, and because of our friendship and our relationship, like I don't want to do anything to like hurt you or spit in your face or do you dirty or do you wrong, because we're homies and I respect you and I respect your wife and family and you vice versa with me and my wife and my kids, and that's a relationship. And that's the difference between a relationship with God is like, that's what a relationship looks like when we give our life to Christ. We start reading his word. It's his words are his voice. He speaks to us and then he speaks back to us. We talk to him, he speaks back. There's a dialogue going on because there's a relationship. And the difference between this religion is people always get it confused, like a relationship with God versus religion. Religion is me going and trying to obey all these rules. And I know myself, I mean, I've been breaking rules my whole life, and I will continue to break rules and I'll continue to do things that aren't good unless I actually have the power of the Holy Spirit in me, God's Spirit in me, because when God's Spirit is inside of me, he illuminates our mind, he changes our heart, and he actually leads us and he changed our thought process.
Yep.
To go towards him. And because of the fact that we know God is good, he loves us, and he has a plan for us, and we have a relationship, we're friends, we know he wants to do good and not harm to us. So because of that, I don't go around doing things against him. Basically, I stay within my boundaries of what he's called me to live. And when I stay in those boundaries, like I was talking about last week, is that you have that good life, that spirit-led, that good life, not that life of disorder, of stress and no focus, anxiety, and all these things. Like you could get stressed in life for situations because things get stressful, but God has a higher way and a new way for your life. And that's what I love about a relationship and religion. We're not talking about religion here. We're talking about a relationship. And as we were talking about these storms, this is why we're doing the Whosoever's Kill the Noise session. Thank you for being on, man. You obviously know I wrote a book, and it's called Kill the Noise, Finding Meaning Above the Madness. And you actually wrote an endorsement for it. And, the people that are streaming, they could go online and find it on Amazon or any Barnes & Nobles or anywhere you buy books, and you'll see Austin's endorsement and many others like Ed and Sonny, etc. But in that book, I have a chapter called God's Signs in the Storms. And it's also a faith-filled story of being in a very dark place, but God showing up. And it wasn't easy in the storm. I didn't think the storm was ever going to end. Actually, the storm didn't end for 9 months. And then it got really crazy even after that. That's not even in the book. But God is faithful, and he pulled through. And Austin, and I know that, like when I decided to write this book, this isn't like it's not like my autobiography, like this is what
writing a book is not a thing you do.
No. And this is my life from start to finish. No, everything about me. I wrote this book as like a tool. It's a faith builder. It's a discipleship book. And it's a tool to wherever you're at in your walk. If you don't believe in God, you're going to find out if he's real. If you're in addiction, you're hopeless, stressed out, at the end of your ropes, you're going to find peace, how to find peace. If you're in a place where maybe you gave your life to God, but there's been no change in your life, like you're like, I believe in God, and you truly like, I love him, but you don't know much about him, or there hasn't been a shift in your life, it's going to show you how to get that shift in your life. And that's through the power of the Holy Spirit. And it's just cool because it's a highlight reel. It's like when we go through Instagram, you just kind of go through the highlight reel of your life. It's a highlight reel of all these stories that aren't like, perfect stories. Like, it's not like my perfect life. It's literally just a journey of ups and downs, and me being very transparent with my insecurities and different things that I went through and hard times, but then also showing how good God is and how faithful he is, and him pulling through in his timing. And that's why I wrote the book, because when I gave my life to God, I read Head's book, and I always talk about this. I read Head's book. I got connected with Sonny from POD and Head from Korn, we're obviously talking about. And when I read his book, I remember reading it, and I was flipping through the pages, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my life. Even though like I wasn't a rock star, I wasn't in Korn at that level of any, of that world. His story, he struggled with the same stuff: anger, addiction, pornography. His basically what I'm saying is this guy was a multimillionaire, and I managed a professional skateboard team. I was doing a good thing in my life and my career, but I mean, when you're a multimillionaire, that's a whole nother level. You know what I mean? But yet he has the same problems because people think, oh, if I just got rich, my problems will go away. This guy had all the same problems: divorce, addiction. Yeah. And anyway, so I wrote that book because I wrote a book, and I said, when I write a book, I want this to be something that I could give to the Mice and Men crowd, to the Korn crowd, to the skate community, to all the subcultures of people that are like you and I, that were on one side in the darkness, and now I've been placed in the light through a relationship. Yeah. So thanks, dude, for being on, and thank you, dude, for writing that endorsement. Dude, that thing was sick.
Yeah, you told me I like it, but you need to make it one sentence, and I was like, you got to have your guy do it.
Well, no, but we didn't shorten it. The guy, because what happened is the publisher's like, well, we can only put 10 in, and I sent them like 20 or something.
Yeah.
And it was all the homies, and I'm like, hey, here, like, this is what I got. And they ended up giving me more pages.
Wow.
They put them all in at the full size. So we didn't have to edit nothing.
Dope.
So I was still, I know the guy, they're like, you got to shorten it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but yeah. So we never shortened it. So thank you.
Something came to mind when you were talking about, how basically staying in your lane. And Ezekiel, when it talks about when God gives us a new heart, he gives us a heart of flesh, and he gives us his spirit. And it says that his spirit, it teaches us to obey and walk in his statutes. It teaches us and shows us how to walk in our lane. And that's something that I just thought of when you said that. And I think that that's really cool. And then you were talking about anxiety and depression. And I literally just did a Bible study, and I never knew in Proverbs, the Common English version says anxiety leads to depression, but a good word encourages. Mm-hmm. And a good word is obviously the Bible, and a good word is obviously also a legitimate testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's what your book is. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the first chapter alone, you talk about being addicted to Coke, and your brother bringing home Gwen Stefani, and, being the real deal. And, you were the real deal, and you were scum. You were the scum, just like Paul said that he was the sinner of all sinners. Mm-hmm. And just like me and Head, and I feel like Sonny's always been good, but but we were all, we're all, I guess scum. We were scum, We
made a lot of bad decisions. We'll say that.
Decisions. Yeah. And but it's so crazy that God can take that and transform it. And I have a lot of people especially that listen to mice and men that deal with anxiety and depression and suicidal tendencies and self-harm and stuff. And you know, anxiety leads to depression, but a good word encourages. And that's why I wanted to promote your book, and that's why I wanted to say something about it, because it's a good word. It's a testament. It's God's story. And what you did was just share God's story. And, you know, I know you, and I don't want to put you on blast, but like you'd have to talk to your phone to make text, and you have to like listen to text. Like you're not the word guy, you know, like you're not a writer. You're not a, you know, an Isaac Newton, you know, but you're God made you exactly how you are, and God made your story exactly how it is. And like you said, you're the light shining. He made it so that his story and his light can shine through you, and it does. And that's another reason why we have our relationship, is because I respect that about you, and I respect your transparency, and I respect the fact that you've dedicated your life, yeah, to your wife and to your kids, but to the gospel and to sharing the gospel and to what you do. And everything you do revolves around that, and revolves around getting the word of Jesus to people. And that's what we're called to do. It said the Jesus says that the true gospel is this, to reach out to the widows and the orphans. And there's so many people that they may have a dad and a mom, but they're basically orphans because their dads aren't fathers.
Yeah.
You know, their dads are donors, you know, and you know, especially the Kill the Noise tour with going to the high schools and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are a lot of orphans that you're going out to, and you know, and I've been to a couple of them, and that's why I respect you, and that's why I respect our relationship. And it's just like God, like I respect God, and I also I don't want to do things against him because I love him, but also because of the pure fact that look what he's given me.
Yeah.
You know, he's given me the breath that I have. He's given me a wife. He's given me my children. He's taken things from me that I thought were good for me, and he's given me a better life. Not a better life how some people would say, but he's given me joy. You know, and that's where that relationship with him is just it's like any relationship, communication and respect. And also with God, it's a part of fear, but not the fear. I guess that I shouldn't have just spurted that, but the word fear translated means in awe.
In awe.
To have awe. We walk in awe of God. And there's a Hebrew acronym for walking in the fear of God and awe of God. And the acronym stands for walking through a garden, and the garden being the Bible. And for walking through that garden in awe of everything that God has done. And man, he's just insane. And your book talks about that. And I love it. And I love how, you know, even the chapter names alone, like it's so funny. Like I can relate to each one. And I feel like so many people that have been transformed by what Jesus has done on the cross can relate to those things. And that's the gospel. 2,000 years ago, Paul, you know, boom, you know, I can relate to things that happened to Paul and what Paul went through and how he felt, and wanting to be like that, but not wanting to be like Paul, wanting to be closer to Jesus like Paul was, and wanting to be closer to God like Paul was. And dude, your book it shows people that you don't have to be anything special. You don't have to put on the right shoes or put on a tie or go to the right school. You just come just as you are, man. Like Nirvana says, the Bible says it too, but I think Kurt Cobain stole it.
It's funny because when you were talking about, well, first of all, someone asked in the comments, there was a couple of cool comments that came in. One said,
I can't even see the comments.
I don't know. Maybe Lucas can set that up. Basically, what was one of the comments said something along the lines of, let me see if I can. Oh, there's the comment. You push the comment button. There they all are. One person said that suicide, depression is running rapid. It's real, and it is, and
especially now.
It's a real thing. It's increased, but God in the Bible, Jesus talks about, me all you are weary and heavy laden, take my yoke and let me teach you my burden and my light, and I will give you peace and rest for your soul. And God, he can come into your life and he can give you peace. There's no chance of peace without him. But I always hold Jesus to his word. Whatever it says in the Bible, I said, you said it, so make it happen. You said you're going to give me peace. Now, this goes to people that if you have a relationship, remember, we're not talking about religion. Religion's like the genie, hey, God, give me peace, but I don't want anything to do with you. Give me peace right now. That's God, the genie in the bottle. We're talking about a relationship.
The vending machine God. My dad always says God's not a vending machine where you just go to him when you want and pick what you want, and he gives you that. God's not a vending machine God. Yeah.
And in the book, in the chapter, you were talking about when you're walking with God, it's like being in that garden. And it's in one of the chapters, I can't remember where it was at, but it was talking about the work of the Holy Spirit. When you get that new life, you have that new spirit-led life, and it's like it's that fresh, because the Bible talks about in John 7, he gives you that fresh bubbling spring of that living water in your stomach. It's like you have that new spirit-led life that flows in and out of you. And it's like, and I was talking about, it's like being in Hawaii. It's like, this tropic, I don't know, for me, like when you're in Hawaii, you're in your board shorts running around. It's like Costa Rica. It's like, it's like, monkeys and beautiful green and sun and perfect warm water, not cold water, nice sand. It's just amazing tropical paradise. And that's that life with Christ, is you start living that new spirit-led life versus walking without God in your life. And it's like you're in this desert experience. You're in the middle of the desert. You don't know which way to go in life, what direction. You're just, you're thirsty. So you're trying to fill yourself with like booze or smoking weed or popping pills or pornography or relationships or how much money you can make, or if you could buy that next car or that house. You're empty in the desert, and you're trying to fill yourself with anything that can fill that empty void. And I talk about how the process of what God does and how he comes in and he starts changing that whole thought process supernaturally, just in the natural realm. So we were talking about all this cool stuff, but I'm going to actually put the chapters of the names of the book, the chapters of the book, so we can get them out there. And I mean, we're already doing it. So let's just, I'm going to read them for you and then pick.
Yeah, I just learned how to read.
I'm going to read them right now. So it says, Let the Good Times Roll, Losing Control, Crossroads, Punk Rock Jesus, Identity Crisis, Shiny Objects, Destroy All Gods, God Signs in the Storms, Living the Impossible, and No Posers. Does that sound like an album? Songs on an album? I should have been a musician.
Losing control, I'm at a crossroads.
So with all those,
the impossible, no posers allowed.
With all those names said, grab one of those names and relate it to a story or a chapter or a season in your life.
Oh man,
we can do a couple for sure, but this is a good way to share your faith with people and just also just testifying of what God does and what He's done.
Well, we kind of already touched on the storms.
Yeah, we did.
We touched on the storms. Can I combine Identity Crisis with
Absolutely? You can do whatever you want.
I just want to let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
There it is. That's where it all started.
Yeah, identity crisis and destroy all gods. With my story, I was raised in a Christian home. Mm-hmm. I was raised, in a good home. My parents, they argued, they had this and that, and I was a rebellious kid. I got spanked, got my mouth washed out with soap. My dad never beat my mom. My dad wasn't an alcoholic. I don't come from like a story like that. Yeah. Raised in a good home, and Sunday mornings were for church, and vacation Bible school every summer. I think 3 or 4 times I went and gave my life to the Lord. When my mom passed, I don't know how many people are watching that know my story or not, but
just go ahead and talk about
it. To make it compact, my mom passed when I was 17 because they didn't know she had, it's called Marfan syndrome, which is what I have. And she had an aortic aneurysm, so her aorta just ruptured, and within 2 hours she died. That moment was my moment. That moment was, I think, where God really that's where God proved that he knows what he's doing. My mom was in a lot of pain for different reasons that we never knew about. And B, her dying, her death led me to the band, to the impact of the band, led me to my salvation, led me to the people that I get to talk to now, all of these different things. But when she passed away, instead of going and seeing the body, I ran out the front door, never saw the body, and I went and did all the bad kid things I could do. Smoking, drinking, sex, drugs. I was stealing cars on accident without knowing it until a problem. Working for my cousin, who actually ended up dying of a heroin overdose just 6-7 months ago. And I was living that lifestyle. I was running from God. I hated him. And I was like, how are you going to take my mom, who was a light, who would literally walk into a room and light up the room, and she served you her whole life, and how are you going to do that? Like, F you. That's literally what I said. It was the first time I had even said that word, was when I ran out of the hospital. I cursed God. And that's when I started getting into music, and I made a band. And when it led to a Mice and Men became A, my God, my new God, and B, my identity. A Mice and Men was my God, because that's where I poured all of my energy, all of my effort, all of my everything that was me was that band. And that's where it links into my identity. My identity was in that band. My identity was in how big the band got, how many albums they sold, how many more album or magazine covers, the bigger tours. My identity was in connected with that, like the free clubs I could get into, the free places, the porn stars, the this, the that, all the different things that came with it. Yeah. I associated my identity with how big the band got. And it's funny, identity crisis, we had a song called Identity Disorder, where I talk about, and the bridge is, I question every part of who I am. It's hard to tell which side of me is in the right, with these two different people inside of me, with these two different voices inside of me. Something. I can't even remember the lyrics right now, but I was going through that because I knew God was real. I believed in God. But I wasn't following him. And that's a big thing too, where I grew up in a Christian home. Okay, well, that doesn't make you a Christian. It's not osmosis. You know, my Bible sitting here doesn't do anything for me unless I'm opening it.
No posers chapter will cover that part.
Yep. But the destroy all gods and identity crisis, God destroyed my identity. And if God didn't destroy my identity, I would have destroyed myself. And this is wise because when I left the band a few months before was when I gave my life to God, when I was born again. You were actually one of the people to disciple me into that and to help, you know, to show me and instruct me and to guide me and to encourage me. I remember we sat at that Mexican restaurant, we talked, and you gave me a Bible, and that was the Bible that I was going through while I was writing the record. And it's funny because I just sent out through my little Patreon page, I sent out all my studio notes, all the notes from my journal that I wrote while I was in the studio. And I was reading a lot of them and I was in tears, man. This was a couple weeks ago because I was writing about God and his spirit and what he was doing inside of me. And then on other pages, I was writing like, you know, things about the band. And I sent these pages off because I wanted to be transparent. And I found one page where I was writing about God and someone, I don't know who in the band, but they were going through my journals and wrote smack in my journal. I never saw it until I was going through them again. And I sent the pages out. And you know, there was notes on there that I wrote that said, why am I doing this when I can't write what God's doing in my life? I took a picture of one where it says that. I was like, I can't even write about what's in my heart, so why write at all? And you know, my wife's like, you don't want to keep the pages, give them to the girls when they grow up. I was like, no, just get rid of them. It's stuff, but I know it's important to other people and meant a lot to me. But I digress on that. You know how I get. But
someone left a comment, said they received some of your notes.
Sick.
Yeah,
I posted about this on my Patreon because I thought it would be cool for them to come.
Awesome.
But those notes were real. And it's funny because the last song I ever wrote when I was in Of Mice and Men, the last song on the last album, I think I wrote like 2 sentences from it, but it was called Transfigured. And so the last song that I ever did with the Mice and Men was called Transfigured, which is a transformation.
Yeah.
And leaving the band and being completely, that transfiguration happens over time. Mm-hmm. You know, I left the band and my identity was gone, that identity, because I was searching for my identity in the band. Mm-hmm. And instead I had to find my identity in Christ. And I had to find my identity in the man that he wanted me to be for him, for his glory. Yeah. And what Mice and Men, what that part of his story was for his glory, because none of that was for me. All of that was happening so that I could be right here to do whatever he needs for his glory, because now my identity is in Christ. And I shared this with someone the other day. I think it was during one of my Bible studies, that because my identity was so deeply rooted in Of Mice and Men, if this quarantine would have hit and I was still in the band and I hadn't been born again and given my life to God, if this quarantine would have happened, I would have killed myself, Ryan. Mm-hmm. I would have given it 2 or 3 weeks. I wouldn't have had any chicks to be able to come over. You know, I would have, you know, maybe I could have, whatever. I would have drank. I would have, you know, smoked more weed than normal. I would have been living somewhere in Southern California in an apartment. Mm-hmm. And my identity would have been wrecked Because of where my heart was and where I was, I literally would have killed myself. I know myself.
Yeah.
And I would have killed myself. And I would have destroyed my identity by destroying myself. And now here it is, a year and a half, a year since this whole COVID, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have made it.
No way.
I would not have made it. But instead, God had this plan that I had no clue about. I had no clue that I would be speaking with you and San Diego. The next day I was supposed to fly to Costa Rica. I had that allergic reaction. Remember, I had fluid in my head, fluid in my ribs.
Yes.
I had to cancel my flight. My doctor bought my flight to Stanford. Then 2 days later, I was wearing a blue dress, a blue hospital gown, and I meet my future wife. She comes and sees me again the next day. The third time we hang out was her taking me to my friend's funeral. So we met in a hospital, and then the first time out of the hospital was at a funeral, and then I fly and go to Costa Rica for 2 months. So we spend 3 times together, and then 2 months apart in Costa Rica. Then I moved to Las Vegas, get a job. She moves to Las Vegas from California. I quit the job / got fired, whatever, either way, it was mutual. Just months after she got there. And she lived in a room with me. Whoa. She lived in one room with me with her daughter. And we got pregnant. And now we're in California. And it's so funny because we prayed for more space so she could create. She's an insane. She painted. What is it at? Which way do I go? That thing is huge.
Dang.
That goes from wall to floor. She's an insane artist, and she started painting, but she found out she had a brain tumor too, which I think is just so rad. But none of that would have happened unless God took me out of my comfort zone, out of the band, through all the stuff. Just like I've told you before, and like in my I'm second, my entire storage unit of everything I own gone.
Yeah.
And he said no. And he had other plans. And still to this day, things I try, things I plan, things I make, he says no. And him saying no is him being a good father.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I see that with my daughters. If I say yes all the time, what good does that do to them? Yeah. Or I was watching Francis Chan today, and he was saying, some homes where the dad says, go clean your room. And then the dad ends up cleaning the room for them. Like that's not the type of household I was raised in. And that's not the type of household that my daughters are raised in, even though I have to help my 5-year-old. She's 5, so it's really hard for her to read certain things. But I see that God is he's such a good father. And by saying no, he is doing what's right for me, even though it hurts, even though it breaks me, even though it wrecks me, even though it destroys me. His no's are just, I love yous. And now I finally understand, bringing it full circle. When my mom or dad used to spank me, they would say, we're doing this out of love.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, bull crap. I'd put socks on my pants. And I started getting the bare bottom. But now I see that my dad was right. He was doing it out of love. Yeah. Stop lying. Stop doing this. Stop using these words. Stop giving this attitude. And I'm disciplining you out of love, because now as an adult, I see that. And that's what God does, man. And, God, Jesus is that representation of a shepherd with the sheep. A sheep runs away, he goes and gets it. The sheep runs away, he goes and gets it. But sometimes if the sheep keeps running away too much, he'll break the sheep's leg and he'll carry the sheep. And I feel like that so many times that God has just had to break me and carry me. And it's because of my own stubbornness, my own head, my own me. And I understand now so much that the less me and the more him, the better. And with my relationship with my wife, daughters, and all of that.
I want to add something to what you're saying. It's because God loves us. He's a loving father. And obviously I have kids, you have kids, and my daughters, they love ice cream like a lot. Like I have to go do an ice cream run after this for tomorrow. And we're going to get rainbow sherbet for they like chocolate, but it was all agreed rainbow sherbet. But my point is my daughters want ice cream every day. And I remember there was one day we went to like a birthday party and they like cupcakes and then ice cream and then we later on at night we were somewhere else and we don't ever like our kids eat sugar once in a while. Like they're very we don't let them get on the sugar train. It's very, very limited. My wife is like she's on that healthy, organic, vegan, almost vegan vibe. I'm like tacos and ice cream if possible.
My daughter's never even had a sip of Coke. I gave her a sip of coffee the other day, though.
Yeah, so exactly. So the whole thing is my daughters want ice cream every day. And if I was a bad father, I would give them ice cream every day. But because I'm a good father, I'm like, I'm not giving you ice cream every day because I love you. No, you don't love me. You're giving me, and the point is, if I give them ice cream, it would destroy them. They would get diabetes. They would, maybe get obese if they're eating sugar, so much sugar every day, whatever. There's health problems that come along with eating that kind of garbage every day. And in the same way, God the Father in heaven loves us. And what he does is when he's taking us to this identity, when we're having this identity crisis and he's stripping out all the stuff that's meaningless. And what happens is he basically, he's a loving father and he's taking you through this process. And if you could just hold on tight through this process, if you could just get through it and trust him, you'll look back and go, dude, like now right now you're looking at a year from now where you were and where you would have been if you were still in the band living that life, because you wouldn't have been touring. You wouldn't have been living that. Hollywood's 30 minutes from here. It's shut down. Like that whole LA life of the way you used to go out to the whole scene and the way I was in that scene, that whole nightlife, it's a wrap, shut down, and people are literally losing their minds. And what happens is, even during this pandemic, there has been a big identity crisis, and not just if you're like a famous musician or whatever, but literally
anybody.
What our normal routine is has changed. I mean, thank God I'm a skateboarder, and literally, thank God skateboarding is something that I could just get on my board and just jam down the street and skate parks, curbs. I remember when the pandemic, when everything shut down and people thought like if they go outside, they're going to get the virus and fall over and die. I was like, parks were closed, but I got my board and I would go out and skate. I was just skating around. No one was out, but that at least, I was like, okay, like I'm skating, I'm having a good time. There was some kind of peace in that, because just sitting and what I'm saying is a lot of people just sat in the house and they were losing their minds. Like, and if you're not a Christian and you have no hope, that's why people are drinking, drugging, popping pills, whatever.
Divorce and suicide rates have skyrocketed since all of this began.
Yeah.
Skyrocketed. And skyrocketed even more, like in China. It skyrocketed and then went even higher once the quarantine was lifted a bit. Why do you think that is? Why are marriages falling apart when two people are stuck together?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a real marriage. It wasn't real love. It might have been flesh love and friend love, but there was no agape love. Yeah. Love has 4 definitions, and agape love is the most important. And if you don't have God's love, just like I didn't truly understand. another wise person that might be sitting right here said, wait, where's here? I can't see the screen. I'm not looking this way. Whatever. You said all Christians should wear a sign that says, I'm using a camera, so I can't, whatever. But all Christians should walk around with a sign that says under construction. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm learning more about God's love every day. And ever since, especially having my daughter, like I thought I was starting to understand, but having her, bro, it's like, are you kidding me? Like now I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm starting to understand. And then when she smiled the first time a couple weeks ago, and now like this morning, she was smiling at me, like, and I'm like, what? Like, my mind is just being blown because my heart is just, it can't handle it, because it's like, this is love. And if I love this little thing so much, I want to smell her and squeeze her, and like I like changing her Pampers, and I would do anything for her. And it's like, I love her this much. Imagine how much God loves me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that God sent his son to die for me, for you, for Scum, for Head, for Sonny, for anyone watching, everyone watching.
Everyone, yep.
God sent his son to die to take our place, because Jesus didn't deserve it. And it wasn't the devil, it wasn't Satan, it wasn't us that were hammering the nails or taking the lashes. It was God's own wrath. It was God's wrath being poured out on his son for us, and his son taking that for us. I don't know if this is wrong to say, but I wouldn't give my daughter to die for the whole world.
No, man. Imagine that. It's so gnarly, huh? When you think about that aspect of giving up a kid.
And for God to do that, man, like, what a good, like that, the song, what a good father, man. And it just makes me, it overwhelms me, man, because I love my dad so much more. I love my wife more. And to see how gnarly God is, and I think I said like ridiculously ridiculous or insanely whatever, something in our emails, like he just wrecks me, man. And I lose followers every time I talk about him, but I gain people too.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I lose the whole world, because everything in this world is so temporary and whack. And we know this, and people that study the Bible and understand that, even atheists and evolutionists, and this earth is going to go one day. Like our sun, which is one of the least brightest stars, is going to blow up. The earth is not forever. So what then? And it's like, all of this is so temporary. And Ben Corson, he related Harry Potter to Christianity in a way that kind of, people kind of lost it. But what he was saying is, we live in a supernatural world. We live in a world that this is not real. This is stuff that was made. And right now there's more antimatter and more anti-space than there is real stuff. And it's like, that is God, because here's time, here's the start of my life, here's the end of my life, and this is how I look at it. And God is over here and under here. And God is just so outside of time and space and anything that we can fathom, and just barely grasping that, like, makes me just want to, like, it just wrecks me, man. And it's so cool, because nothing else matters. The Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his own soul? For what is more important than your soul?
Yeah, what is more important? Like, if that I love quoting that verse, because It's in the book as well, in the crossroads part of the chapter, believe it or not, because that was the verse that really hit me with pornography. I was hooked on pornography. I was hooked on sleeping around. My identity would be in who I'm sleeping with, part of the identity crisis.
Yeah.
But when you start really reading it, and it says, what does a man profit if he gains the whole world? So like, what if you were like, well, what's the whole world? Someone that's like, flies around in private jets, has houses everywhere, and money's no object, right? You pretty much can do whatever you want, whenever you want, and that's not a problem. So that's gaining the whole world, because the wealth, the lust of the eye, the pride of life, the lust of the flesh, these are not from the Father. These are from the prince of the world, Satan. So if you have all that, and you have everything you ever wanted, and you lose your own soul, what does it matter? Why? Because like you were saying, here on planet Earth, like what's an average man live? Like 65, 75 years old. Who cares? What if you lived to 120? I mean, I don't think you really want to live that long. You're like,
I don't. I would.
I'm a sleeper, not my body, and not your body with your Marfisons. No way. I'm already. Every day I wake up, I'm like stretching. I got one of those guns that pound you to loosen you up. But so like whatever. So you live to like a good life to like 90. And then you die. And then you're in eternity. And you know what they say in eternity? It's like buying a house. It's all about location, location, location. So you got living with God the Father, peace, joy. It says there'll be no more tears in heaven, right? All the pain and suffering will leave. Or, you have hell, which the Bible talks about. Jesus talks about hell. He refers to it more than 280 times in the New Testament. Why? Because it's a real place, and he wishes that no one will go there, and you can start living for Christ now. And when you take that last breath, you end up in heaven and you live forever in eternity. And that's why that verse is so gnarly, because we think we're going to live forever, right? But then like I could be driving down the street. I got to go on. I'm going to Rite Aid to go buy some ice cream right after this. I told you I got to go get the rainbow sherbet for my daughters.
Please get the cotton candy kind.
Is it? I don't know if they like that one, but I'm gonna look into it. But we're gonna get it. I want the Snickers one for myself personally. But anyway,
what if you get hit by a car and you die?
I get hit and I'm dead, like done. Then what? Some people go, when I'm gonna die, when I'm on my dying bed, I'm gonna give my life to God. Dude, what if you don't have that chance? Something could happen so fast. My neighbor recently just got in a car wreck. He was in a Toyota, like an old school Toyota truck, short, with no shell or no extra seats. It's just a one row. And it just started raining, and we live in California. Once it rains a little bit, everybody's hydroplaning, right? Because there's no rain. Dude, he almost literally died. And it's just like that fast. And that's why it's so important for us to have a relationship with God. He loves you. He created you. He didn't come to judge the world. He came to save the world. And not only that, like I'm seeing the feed. I see the feed, and people are like, I'm tired of addiction. I'm tired of suicide. I'm tired with depression. All these different things that are going on in their life. Jesus has come to set the captives free. And again, we're here. We're talking with Austin because he's been impacted by Christ. I wrote this book for our audience, for people that are listening, that are watching. It's a faith building tool. It's a story. It's a bunch of stories of how to grow your faith. It's a tool that will help you overcome addiction, suicide, depression. Find if God's real. I will show you how to find out if he's real through this book. And all this book's going to do is it's going to continue to push you back to the real book, the Bible, because the Bible's all through it. But what's cool about the book is it literally shows how God works in 2020 and from like when I was born, from 1975 to 2020, and how he's going to continue to work, and how the Bible is real, it's relevant, and it's alive and sharper than a two-edged sword. So that's why this book's here, and this is why we're doing these sessions.
The Bible is alive and well because the Bible is the living breath of God, and the living breath of God is alive and well because God is alive and well because God is God. Yes.
That's
it. That's. I follow. It's called the cultish thing. I won't get into it. They cover very, very taboo topics. And they posted something, and I said a simple comment: unless you are born again, unless a man is born again, they will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Period. Mm-hmm. That's it. But then you can get into the whole spiral, and I don't know who's listening or watching, but those people that have everything, me and you have talked before about Chester Bennington, Anthony Bourdain, Mac Miller, people that have all that stuff, they commit suicide or accidental overdose.
Yeah.
But what about people that are watching or listening and they don't even believe in God? What if they believe in reincarnation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What if? Yeah.
Then you die and you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was the case, why if I believed that, I would be raging right now. Mm-hmm. I would not be living the life that I am now. Just like, but at the same time, if I believed that or I didn't believe in God, I would have killed myself. Because I don't want to come back as a squirrel. Like reincarnation would suck. Because
like, how many years ought to be a squirrel?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is the whole earth's going to be gone anyways.
Yeah.
And the Bible says that there will be a new earth. People think that heaven, you go to heaven, it's the streets of gold and this, but there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and we will be in new bodies that we were created, not these bodies, but we will be earth as God created and intended it. And it's so beyond our imagination that this earth will pass away. And the Bible talks about how the creatures and the trees will even just rejoice that we are gone because we are not contaminating it. And there will be a day when moms and dads will have to see their kids spend eternity in hell or not. Or a kid see their mom or dad go through that. Mm-hmm. Like, that is all real. And with everything going on right now, people talk about real stuff and they get boom. You can't talk about certain subjects. You can't talk about certain things because everything is so sensitive. Everyone is so sensitive. Mm-hmm. I understand. I don't get into politics. I don't get into anything racial because it doesn't matter. It matters. That sounds wrong. It matters. But the thing is Jesus came and died for everyone.
What you're saying is you're not meddling in politics and no. Racism, because those are important. Those are important to those areas. But what we're focusing on Christ.
Is that Christ is a relationship? Yeah,
because think about this. When you give your life to Christ, what does Jesus say? Jesus says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." Okay, if you love your neighbor as yourself, you just broke up racism. Because if you love your neighbor as yourself, you're gonna love everyone the same, and that's gonna cut through all that stuff.
Yep.
And that's why, and Jesus, he came, he liberated women. Women were frowned on back in the old days, and he made everyone equal. And that's what we learn about
marginalized. Jesus was for those people.
Yeah.
Jesus was for all the outcasts. Jesus was for all the people that were mistreated and didn't have a voice. Jesus was their voice.
He was their voice.
And he went to them. And that's what we're called to do. And that's what we're called to do as true Christians. And I think that's something that people see Christianity as something so bad because they've got a bad taste in their mouth about it.
Yeah.
But they weren't shown the true Jesus.
Yeah, because because when you say Christian, with the original word Christian, where it comes from in the Bible, is they were these disciples. They were calling them Christians because they were like, oh man, those guys are like Christ. Christ.
Yeah. If you didn't call yourself a Christian, people saw how you lived and said,
yeah. They didn't call themselves Christians. They were called Christians because the way they lived. But I think there's a lot of people that are misrepresenting who Christ is, and the best way people, maybe you're saying, well, how do you know the way it was? Well, just read the Bible for face value, and you're going to see what Jesus and his disciples did, and you will see who he is. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from Austin. Don't take it from what you're seeing on TV or whatever. Read it face value and see who he was, and you're gonna love him and who he is and what he did. Austin,
Jesus said, last thing. I'm sorry. Jesus said when he was telling Peter about his death, he was telling Peter about how he was going to die. Peter being Peter said, well, what about John? How is John going to die? Mm-hmm. And Jesus's response was basically, worry about yourself.
Yeah, don't worry.
Worry about your own walk with me. Worry about your own relationship with me. Mm-hmm. And all that other stuff. We're supposed to focus on him. We're supposed to keep our eyes on him. And everything else, he is the one. And if we take our eyes off him, just like Peter took his eyes off Jesus and fell in the water.
And that's so relatable. We all get distracted with those storms. Back to what we were originally talking about, and you sink. But God brings you up and he gets you back on the right track. Yep. I do have a question for you. So what is, I know we've been talking about a lot of this book stuff and God and all this amazing stuff, but I want to go back to a little personal question with you. What is, because we have a lot of your, fans from, the band that are watching, what in the heck is going on with your dad? You got kids, but when do you think you're going to get some music stuff out? Are you working on anything right now at the moment? Well, first of all, before you answer that question, I want to tell you, we want to get you on some tours with the Whosoevers to come speak. We're booking some stuff out. So once you get the green light from your wife, because, you have a kid now at home, an infant kid. So when you're able to, you got to come out with us. So what do you got? I know you're reading some comments. What's new in the pipeline? Oh, no, I can't hear you. Oh, something happened. Okay, here we go. Go ahead. He's trying to fix his camera. All right, well, here, I'll read some of these comments. I just found a path in the Old Testament. Awesome. Yeah, the Old Testament basically points to Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Yahweh points to him. So keep reading that thing, and I would even dabble into the New Testament. And I think Austin's still looking to see if he can get his mic going. This is a cool one from Heidi.
Can you?
Okay. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
All right, you're good. I'm going to read this Heidi comment really quick. This is pretty awesome. My identity was in drinking and being the woohoo fun girl, and he set me free. My life has never been so much fun. Then when I remember the joy of it, because I am sober and living a life for Jesus, his joy in my heart is beyond words. And you'll never experience that until you give your life to Christ. And that's only comes through a relationship with God. And it's epic. So Austin, I know you're back. You got some audio. What new music projects do you have going on? Nothing. Oh, I don't know if there's anything. Is there?
Oh boy.
You've been a little busy.
Yep. Hold on. Can you hear this? Let's see.
Yeah. Are you playing it?
No. Maybe. Let's see.
Bring it.
Oh, well, what is going on here? You can hear me though, right?
I can hear you still, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I have been
That's kind of like the Backstreet Boys. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, remember that time we wrote
wasn't there a Boys concert you ended up at or something with someone or something?
We met, yes. And I asked her, are those real Yeezys? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I've been a fan of yours for years. I just came to see if you were freaking crazy or not. And she gave her life to the Lord, remember? And she was a writer for the Backstreet Boys. She wrote songs for the Backstreet Boys, and she ended up taking me. I was in Vegas all the time, and she got me front row, and so I got to watch the Backstreet Boys.
That's right. That's right. She came to Diamond Bar. All right.
Whoops. Wow. Well, I did not mean to play all of that. Yeah.
So you got some new stuff.
I couldn't find out how to stop some of that.
That's sick, man. You've had time to be able to do that. Meanwhile, I have a newborn.
I haven't had time to do that. What I do is at night I have to come to life, and then in the morning. What's funny is I've been writing a lot as much as I can lately, but it's because over the past however many months, like I was in Costa Rica, I started learning how to work different music programs, and when I did that, this isn't even working. I started like learning different music programs and teaching myself more of like the piano and stuff besides, the simple stuff that we use in a Mice and Men. And
I remember that.
I'm sure these are all technically excuses. Why are you playing that? I can finally see the comments. On my Patreon, I have a thing on my Patreon where it's called an all access pass, and they help support me and my family and my girls, and we're making a song together, and we do a live streams, and I have like my camera in the corner and then my music program, and we're working on a song together, and everyone that helps with the song gets their name as a co-writer on the song because I'm making an album. I haven't said that anywhere or to anyone, so whoever's watching, I guess there it is.
Thank you.
But yeah, and I'm using my Patreon as a way to show different demos and show different stuff that I've been working on, and getting their advice. And the all access members on my Patreon, they get to help me do the track listing and what demos they like and what not. And I'm just doing what I can, man, but I just love music and I can't like not do it. So it's really been fun using the Patreon to express it and to make stuff. Sorry, it threw me off that kept playing.
That's awesome, man. Well, people are excited. I can see the comments. They're ready for it. They're like, bring it now. So I would like, dude, we got to get you on a tour, man. There's been interest in bookings right now for Denver, for the Whosoever's, Denver, Little Rock, Arkansas, New Orleans.
Wow.
Where else?
I want to go to New Orleans
this weekend. Huh?
I want to go to New Orleans, please. I have friends that live there, and I want crawfish and I want cornbread. when I want fried catfish and I want hush puppies.
Let's go. We need to get it going, dude. We need to get it going. And I want to actually plug. We have that new movie that just came out too, The Full Send. You saw the Idaho film, so we have that. That's out, and you can watch it. You can actually just go to the whosoevers.com. You know what? I'm gonna play. We have a trailer for it. I forgot that we even have the trailer. I think Lucas is gonna play it. Let me play this for everyone.
One note, words that would describe my life. I would say I'm not perfect. I don't have everything figured out. Completely rough around the edges, but I know that Jesus Christ is Lord of my life, and I'm going to follow him in whatever he does in my life.
Well, that was not The Full Send. They played the wrong one. That was the book one. Well, The Full Send's a whole nother thing. It's
That was still dope.
It's like, well, our guys created it, but that was actually the trailer for the book. But The Full Send is us in Idaho touring the skate parks, shooting guns, jumping off bridges, talking about the Great Commission, and praying for people, and just having, dude, an amazing time on tour with all the boys, dude. It was actually, we had a couple crazy girls on that trip. We had Christina there, and I think Lexi was there too. But yeah, check it out, thewhosoevers.com, if you want to learn more and see more. And again, we got to get you on a tour, dude. Again, we did TAF, but that was only one day.
What's going on in May? January, February, March, April, May.
I need to find out. Lucas, I'm gonna have him email you. But we need to get you. Head wants to go on tour too, so that'd be sick if you two came out for a trip.
Yeah, I won't hold my breath.
He says he's almost done recording with Korn, so he'll have a little bit of time. But
dude, I can't wait.
Regardless, you'll be available, so we'll get you out for sure. That would be amazing.
Oh, I was saying I can't wait to hear Korn's new record, but yeah, I can't wait to
That's coming too. Well, you know, I was tripping out because of the pandemic, people that actually got to work, there's going to be some really good stuff coming out. And there should be a lot of stuff being released here. And things are opening up. I just got an email today saying that Arizona just opened up, no masks, and there's
Texas.
Huh?
The same with Texas.
Texas is open. I think it's like actually 18 or 19 states. So things are going to start happening. They obviously, you know, if you're into the whole vaccine thing, they got that whole thing going on as well. So nevertheless, people that are into it can get it. People that are not, don't. I'm just going to stay healthy. You know, I'm going to be exercising and eat vitamins and eat well, and, you know, a little bit of ice cream, but and just do that. You know, they say a lot of zinc and D. You have high D and zinc levels. I think what I read is that
vitamin C,
zinc and D. They said high levels of that will make the chances of being coronavirus by less than 80% or something. So,
well, you should definitely listen to the FCDCA DDD.
All right, hey, dude, thanks for being on and hanging out, dude, and just chopping it up.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me plug my patreon.com/my name.
Yeah. Hey, where can people find you?
It's
Carlile.
My Twitter's gone. Instagram is whatever, but I share all my stuff. I think I have like 18 or 19 slots left for my all access pass. It's it does cost money, but all the money goes to support stuff I need for gear. And I literally have for gear and for groceries and rent, and the people that I have on there, they support me, and I share my life with them, and I do blogs, and we do Bible studies every month. We do Bible studies, question and answer, live streams. They're writing songs with me. We start the songwriting actually Saturday night. And then we're going to start movie nights, and it's cool because it's just a small community, and it supports me and my family. And yeah, I guess I shared already that I'm making an album and singing again. So lots of surprises, man. But right now, I don't know, because I don't know what God wants, and I'm just taking one day at a time.
That is too cool, man. That is amazing. Hey, what happened to your Instagram or your Twitter?
It's Twitter's trash.
Got it. You're over it. All right.
No, I didn't log on for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it gave me a notice saying that they would take away my verified if I didn't log on. And I was talking to Lucas. I don't watch the news. We don't have cable TV. I don't care about politics. I don't care about CNN this, but Fox this, and it's all whack. I want to kill the noise.
Yeah.
It's all whack, and I don't want it in my home. And Twitter and all that stuff is trash. People that spend their time talking about politics and this and that, and it's just a waste of time, and especially for believers, I think. So I just draw closer to Jesus and draw closer to Him, and people will draw closer to you by His Spirit, and that's the way to go. And that's what we do in my home. And Twitter was just not good. Same thing why I stepped away from Instagram for so long when I went to Costa Rica. It's just there's stuff on there. It's like, what does that do for your spirit? You know, and if it's not benefiting my spirit. So, and so Patreon and Instagram, that's it.
Well, you know, in Indian, Jesus says the eye is a light to the body. And as whatever you're watching, it's going into your soul. It's going
whatever you're reading,
hearing, basically whatever you're putting in, right? Whether you're eating pills, smoking, watching, hearing, it all goes into your heart. And
even the world says garbage in, garbage out. And the Bible says the exact same thing. And too many Christians spend their time, oh my God, Trump and this, and we live in China now. Why stress about it? Why worry about it? Do not worry about tomorrow. Do not worry about what you will eat, what you will drink, what you will wear. For God takes care of the birds, and He cares for the birds. How much more does He care about you? So worry about yourself. Worry about your walk with God. And that's it, man. And that's why I love you, because, that's it.
I love you, dude. Tell your wife I said, what's up? I saw your baby girl.
Oh, my gosh. Ryan Gutierrez. Ryan San Francisco Gutierrez. My dad used to call him Cisco Kid. I was at this guy was one of my only friends from like 3rd grade on. I went to his wedding. I was one of his not his best man. That was Ryan Ingram. But I was in his wedding party, and I ended up getting hammered the night of. And I think, was my girlfriend with me? I don't remember, but I made a complete fool of myself, and I feel bad forever. But Ryan, this was before I was walking with God, but Ryan's the man. And thank you, bro. Man, tell your mom I'm sorry, Maria. That was years ago. I think his wedding was what led my girlfriend and I at the time to break up, which was a good thing. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you for getting married.
Well, dude, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you and me both. We missed so many bullets, and we met at dimes. We are unworthy of our lives.
Yes, we got very lucky.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't believe in luck, but you know, we got
there's no such thing as luck.
God hooked us up.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, dude, I love you very much, man. Again, thank you, and we got to meet up and hang out sometime soon. Well, we're gonna get on a tour soon, so I'm gonna have Lucas shoot you over the dates, and we'll get out and do some cool stuff. You know, some Jesus stuff, some God stuff.
That's all we're doing here. That's all that matters.
Always.
Love you, bro.
All right, brother. Love you, man.
See you.